Little secret from me to you. Men are testing your value. Now, often they're doing this subconsciously and they're not even aware that they're doing it. Now, this is important to understand because high value men are typically being pursued by multiple women. And these men are seen in high regard by their social circle, they have options, and they want to be with another high value woman. Now, initially, they're going to be testing you to make sure that you're worthy of their time. And if you can ace these 3 tests that I'm going to reveal, it'll give you a much better chance of being pursued by him. Listen, first impressions are so important in communicating your value to a man, and you'll be able to be intentional with your first impression when you understand these 3 tests. Hi, I'm Jason Silver, the dating coach for ambitious women, and this channel is dedicated to teaching ambitious, mastery-driven women how to attract high-quality men for a lifelong committed relationship. Now, if you haven't done so already, hit that red subscribe button and the little notification bell right next to it so you get notified of all of my upcoming trainings. Now, let's jump right into it. Now, the first test is the love at first sight test. Now, I don't need to tell you that men are visual, but his physical attraction is the very first thing that a man will look for in terms of your overall vibe, your vibrance, and he'll be able to see it. The way that he's going to do that is through how healthy and vibrant and energetic you appear. From an evolutionary standpoint, men are looking for health and vibrance. And if you can show him that by feeling your absolute best, by dressing in a way that makes you feel great, by presenting yourself in a way that you feel your best, it shows him that you love yourself and you're thriving versus someone who's too tired to value themselves enough and to value their presentation. So this is actually an extremely important test, and it's something that you don't have to be a supermodel to pass. It really just means, do you feel put together? And you and I know there's a huge difference between when we go out and we feel great about how we're dressed and how we're put together, we showered, we did our hair, versus just rolling out of bed. And that level of confidence, that energy, that whole vibe is just so much more important to a man because of how visual men are. And if you can do that and feel great about yourself, you're going to be ahead of 99% of other women out there that don't feel that same level of confidence. Just think about that. Think about what's going to make you feel like you stand out, because that is really passing the love at first sight test, making sure that your initial vibe is one of vibrant confidence. And at the end of the day, if you're going to carry a message to other people that you're a high value woman, then your packaging is important. How you carry yourself and how you communicate through your appearance, it's important in today's society. We can't just show up to a job interview in our pajamas. We actually have to present ourselves and put our best foot forward. And that's the first test that you can pass. The second test is the assertiveness test. Now, this is really just evaluating how much you're willing to stand your own ground and hold your own perspective without giving in to someone else. Now, I dare say that this is probably the most important test for you to pass initially, because it'll show how much a man can lead you and how compliant and submissive you'll be to him, regardless of whether he deserves it or not. You see, most men are going to use this test to see how quickly they can sleep with you without putting in a lot of effort. And they're going to keep escalating sexually until you put him in his place and you're assertive enough to draw a boundary. The key here is you want to be assertive from the start. That's where you begin to train a man how to treat you. And you do that by rewarding him for when he does things that you appreciate and for letting him know or correcting him when he does something that you don't like. For example, if he escalates too quickly, if he says a sarcastic joke that's not nice, if he doesn't do something chivalrous or respectful, you have to tell him in that moment that you don't appreciate that. You can't just be silent and be afraid of repelling him from you. If you find men are using you, or you're getting into relationships where men aren't treating you the way that you deserve to be treated, then you may have failed the assertiveness test. And this is important for you to be aware of, so you can pass these tests in all of your future relationships. You do this by verbally telling him that you're not okay with what he did. You don't have to be overly angry or upset. You just tell him, let him know, and you move on. If you can set boundaries with confidence, you shouldn't have problems. And guess what? If he pushes your boundaries, then he failed the test. Great men should be doing everything in their power early on to make you feel safe and comfortable. The moment he pushes you outside of your comfort zone for his own selfish needs is the moment you end the relationship or the date. Counterintuitively, this will actually make you even more attractive to a quality man because he's going to know that you respect yourself and are a woman of value. Now, the third test is the competition test. And this is when a man tries to figure out who else is pursuing you. Men typically know when there's a real high-value woman, then other men are pursuing her. She's going to typically have a lot of orbiters around her, guys that are kind of orbiting her on a friendship level. But the moment that she would say yes to any of these guys, in a heartbeat, they would be with her. So most men assume that the highest value woman, the women that they would put on a pedestal, they have other men pursuing them. So if a guy is dating you, he's going to want to know how many men are pursuing you and just how aggressive are these guys, how competitive are they. He's trying to understand this from a safety perspective. But also, he's kind of measuring you up like, hey, how in demand are you? Now, by no means am I telling you that you should lie to anyone and tell a man that you're being pursued by dozens of men. The highest value women, they don't talk to men about their orbiters. They just play it off. They say, oh no, they're just a friend. And maybe this woman actually thinks that they're just friends, but in the back of her mind, she knows that if she ever said yes, these guys in a heartbeat would be with her. So you don't want to straight up lie to a man and say, oh yes, I have a bunch of men pursuing me and I have a boyfriend here and a side guy over here. That's not the point. The point is that you don't want to make clear to a man that there's no men pursuing you and that he's the only guy and that you're totally invested in him. Early on, you always want him to think that there's another guy around the corner. And if he doesn't treat you in the way that you deserve to be treated, boom, you're going to be gone in an instant because you have other men pursuing you. He shouldn't just think that. This should actually be true. So if you don't have other men around the corner, then it's important for you to maintain the same exact mindset where if a man doesn't live up to your standards, you're still not afraid to let him go. Your standards are your best leverage to show that you have value. It's not only if there's guys orbiting around you, that's not always the best indicator of a high-value woman because, quite frankly, a woman may have a bunch of orbiters and she still might end up with the lowest value man there is if she doesn't truly value herself. That's why it's important for you to pass the test by not letting him know that there's no other men and by keeping your standards high. That's the kind of mindset you have to have. And if you don't have these other orbiters, these other men pursuing you, then it's your responsibility to go out and meet more men, period. If you spend any amount of time tolerating any less than you deserve, that will only affect your own self-esteem negatively. And it certainly isn't going to lead into any healthy, happy relationships if you're doing that from the get-go with a guy. Now, we just went through these 3 ways that men test a woman's value. But there's an even more important point here that connects to all 3 of these tests that you just learned about. It's this: why are men testing your value? And the answer is that high-quality men have very high standards for the woman they date. And contrary to popular belief, high-quality men are intentional. They have specific traits and characteristics that they're looking for in a life partner. They have clarity. And that's why, if you want to date a high-quality man, not just an average Joe, then it's important to approach dating differently. Well, how differently? While studying attraction and relationship dynamics over the past few years, I noticed there's one specific dating strategy that's quietly used by the most desirable women in the world to attract their great guy. And I've noticed that the women who follow this secret strategy tend to have a much easier time getting a great guy. In fact, I became so interested in this secret dating strategy that I made a whole free training video about it, which you can view by clicking the link below in the description of this video. This free training video will teach you how you can follow this little-known dating strategy to become a woman who's more desirable than anyone else to truly high-quality men. And you'll also hear about my brand new flagship coaching program that I am proud to announce here on YouTube. No one else in the world is offering a coaching program quite like this, where you can get personal coaching from a male perspective on how to completely transform your love life based on your unique situation. So if you're finally ready to find love and you want to work with me personally, well, I definitely check out that video right now. Just click the link below. And don't wait, I'll see you over there. Be well.